Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into that strange, powerful line between what's real and what's make-believe, and more importantly, what happens when our fantasy worlds start to have very, very real consequences.
So, to get us started, let's just jump right into this wonderfully chaotic experiment called National Make-Believe Month. The school's superintendent actually made it official. For one whole month, every student, every teacher wore a paper label with a fantasy identity. The rule was super simple. You just had to treat everyone as who they were pretending to be. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, as you can probably guess, with space marshals and dragons roaming the hallways, it really didn't take long for things to escalate. The lines between what was a game and what was real started getting fuzzy, and it all came to a head in what's now known as the Bunny Sue incident in the school cafeteria.
Okay, so here's how it all went down. It started pretty innocently. A kid named Fox John, totally in character, decides to play hunt his classmate, Bunny Sue, by, chewing on her sleeve. Then another student, Hunter Diesel, jumps in to save her. But that's when Space Marshal Evan gets involved, twisting Diesel's arm behind his back, yelling about hunting licenses. It was this complete domino effect of fantasy colliding with fantasy.
It got so out of hand that an 8-year-old Dr. Tom had to rush in with his toy medical kit. He's trying to patch everyone up with these colorful sticker bandages. So by the time real paramedics show up, they walk into a cafeteria that looks like a scene out of some bizarre movie, just filled with superheroes, monsters, and a whole lot of fake blood.
But in the middle of all this make-believe mayhem, a parent asked a very simple, very logical question. Where was the adult? Who was actually in charge here?
And this, right here, this is the heart of the problem. The student's answer, teacher? Oh, you mean Bunny Sue? The adult in the room, the teacher, was Bunny Sue. She was just as deep in the fantasy role as the kids were, and in that moment, the game had completely, totally taken over reality.
All right, so let's move from that kind of external chaos to something a bit deeper, a more internal question. Beyond the paper labels they were all wearing for a game, the source material asks us to think about the roles that we play in our own lives.
There's this really interesting idea that comes up in a conversation between a boy, Evan, and his mom. She suggests that our physical identity, our race, our gender, our age, where we're from, it's all just a temporary costume we wear for this one lifetime. But underneath that is the soul, the permanent part of us that carries our wisdom, our virtues, and even our wounds and our patterns from one life to the next.
The source then talks about some souls being asleep. Now, this doesn't mean they're gone or anything. It just means they've gotten so caught up in the temporary costume of their current life, all the fears, the habits, the old stories we tell ourselves, that they completely forget there's anything else underneath. They start to mistake the role they're playing for who they really are.
Okay, so now let's see how this all snaps together, when belief, fantasy, and real-world consequences collide. This next story is about a boy, a bully, and a toy wand that delivered a very, very strange and very real kind of justice.
So Evan, he's sick of being picked on, and he tries to use his Harry Potter toy wand to curse a bully. He's chanting the words, he totally believes it's going to work, but nothing happens. The bully just laughs, snatches the wand, and snaps it in half. But here's the thing, when he does, a splinter cuts his hand. A week later, that bully's in the hospital with this weird infection. And soon, this pattern starts to show up. Other bullies from other schools have the exact same injury, all from breaking the exact same brand of toy wand.
So, was the wand's magic real? Well, not in a supernatural way. It was engineered. The creator, who was rumored to have been a victim of bullying himself, designed a toy that was perfectly safe for normal play. But if someone tried to break it with force, it was specifically designed to splinter. The consequence wasn't some curse, it was a physical result built right into the object, just waiting for the exact action that would trigger it. Pretty clever, right?
So what's the big takeaway from all this? I mean, we've got a teacher who thinks she's a rabbit and a wand that delivers its own kind of justice. What does this really tell us about the power of our beliefs and the stories we tell ourselves?
And ultimately, the source lands on this really powerful conclusion. Believing the wand was magic didn't actually make it so, but that belief gave Evan the courage to finally stand up to the bully. The wand maker's belief didn't cast a spell, but it did lead him to design a system where a specific action had a direct physical consequence. See, fantasy and belief don't bend the laws of physics. What they do is change us, and through our actions, we're the ones who change reality.
So this leaves us with one final thing to think about. Where in our own lives are there broken wands?
What systems have consequences built right into their very design, just sitting there, waiting for the right action to set them off?